Hello out there, Foxes fans, and welcome back to another edition of the U.S. Foxes podcast. Coming to you live, as always, from various time zones around the United States. I, as always, am your host, Matt Folks, joined by my three wonderful co-hosts all over the country. Just a few things have happened since our last show, guys. So we got plenty to discuss. First, up north from me in Del Mar, Mr. Chris Warner. How are you, handsome?
Mate, I'm buzzing. What a day! What a lot of fun Saturday was. 3 on the bounce, top of the league. Yeah, absolutely brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, we were singing loud and proud here in San Diego, as I'm sure y'all were in New York City. Mr. Jason Becker of the New York Foxes.
Yes, it was a good turnout in New York. Unfortunately, I've been I've been a scratch from the lineup all week with COVID, but I'm finally back, feeling better. It's great to see the whole gang here together again. And then, as we're recording this, I believe the Lester Curry Awards were going on tonight. So congratulations to all the winners at the Spicy Lester Curry Awards. It does look like a pretty fun event. I may have to go one year.
That would be incredible. I can't even imagine. And I know, Chris, being the connoisseur of curry that you are, you would be very interested in the turnings out.
Oh, I could have a podcast on my own about the joys of curry from Leicester. So I'll just say yes, please, Matt.
He's not kidding. Mr. Jim Harris down in Texas of the Houston Foxes. How are you, buddy?
I'm thinking about curry now, so not much else to talk about.
Yeah,
I'm doing well.
I wonder if it's good. I wonder if it's like spiciest, most unique. Like what the
you know what? While we're doing the pod, I'll see if I can look up the categories of awards.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Like we said, just a few things have happened since the last time we talked to y'all. Most notably, 3 wins on the bounce, as Chris said, 9 points. Out of some matches that many thought would be some of our toughest tests of the year, depending on who you talk to. Certainly preseason, a lot was made of Norwich and what they would be able to do, and a lot was made of, obviously, Southampton. And frankly, boys, we couldn't ask for much more than this. Jimmy, I'll start with you. Things are clicking, and Enzo has the engine running pretty clean right now.
Oh, yeah, they are. I think we've started purring. Not as I think Enzo said, it's not still where he wants it to be. So I think we've said this a couple of times. Look, if we start clicking and firing for 90 minutes, someone's going to get a shellacking, and that will be fantastic to see. But I think over the week we've seen, him using the squad, rotating players, and continuing this sort of the style that we've now become accustomed to, which is causing us to, draw teams in and hit them on the break. And I think we potentially have, the new Zinedine Zidane in central midfield as well in Wilf. So I'm a happy camper right now.
Wilf doing Cruyff turns is certainly something that I did not have on my Leicester bingo checklist for this season. Yeah, to an outsider, if you're not watching our matches and you look down the score lines outside of the Southampton 4-1, you see a lot of 2s, 1s, 2-0, 1-0s. And I really think that if you haven't been watching the games, it might lead you to think that Leicester, they're winning, but it's just skin their teeth, when it's actually the exact opposite. I feel like every one of these games, we are just, whether it's selfish players not passing, which we can get into that, or it's just, things not clicking fully. I have no doubt that some of these results could have been 5, even 6-0, Jason, or 6-1 right in there. Just it just seems like it's not all quite there yet.
Yeah, I actually don't think that any of these results that I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're getting there. I don't think it'll be long until we see, a 5-1 or 6-1. I mean, 4-1's pretty impressive too, away. So I'll take that. Now, I'm not going to pretend like we're just going to do this to every team week in, week out. We're going to have a lot of tough games like we have had, against the Hull and, Bristol City did make it tough on us. We could have been a little bit better in front of goal, but they really were well organized in the back and really crammed the defensive third of the field. So where, I think we might have been a little lucky in some games, like the Coventry game, beginning of the season. But I think, Matt, I completely agree, though, when I look at the squads and our squad, our 11 against any 11 that we've played so far this year, and our bench against any bench that we've gone up against. You can see that this team is deep. This squad is really talented for the division, and there is a talent gulf there. And I think we're good, decent value, I think, for all the points that we've gotten this year. But I think we're trending in the right direction. And I don't think there's better evidence of just the quality throughout the squad and the deepness of the squad than there was for us to get, 3 wins in 3 games in a week right after the international break. And to do that with a heavily rotated squad against quality championship opposition says a lot about where we are right now and what we could become. We're still only 8 games into the league. So I'm very, very excited for what we're going to see going forward.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, and no disrespect to Rotherham and teams like that, but when you look at who we beat and where we beat them, I mean, to go into Southampton, to go to Norwich and to get those results on the road, it just speaks to, a confidence level that this club seems to be rolling with right now. And we said after it was hard to judge things until we got to that not even the international break. Sorry, the trade deadline is what I meant to say. After the trade deadline, we knew that we would have solidification in the squad, and then we would really see things start to click. And that's exactly what we've done so far, Chris.
Yes, mate. I was trying to think the last 3 games. For me personally, when was the last time I felt that good consecutively watching Leicester? And takes me back to 2019 when we went on that crazy run under Rodgers when we won 11 on the bounce or whatever it was in the Premier League. Like, it just, like Jason said, it clicked. And I think one of the things that is happening, and you can see this, is that with progressively every game, it does look like that something, even if it's a little thing that Enzo's tried to do on the training ground, has manifested onto the field, and we've started to continue to see improvements in the team. And I think Jason's bang on. Like, we'll batter it. We did batter a team. Let's not. Southampton was probably one of the most. I mean, Plymouth had a great result this weekend, which was kind of crazy. But before that, that was probably one of the most, if not the most impressive performance in the Championship, I think, that Leicester game. And so it's all exciting, mate. I can't. Enzo, I thought we knew Enzo Ball was going to be good. I think we all on this podcast hoped that it would be good enough to get us where we are. But I think the best thing about it to me is that it's just such a pleasure to watch us now. And I'm so excited by that. And I can't wait. Yeah. Roll on the weekend, roll on Liverpool and then roll on Blackburn at the weekend, mate.
Well, just saying a stat like 9 points in 8 days. First of all, that is the most championship thing ever. But to get 9 points in 8 days, guys, that is just two tough road matches, like we said. But then to come home and get the job done against Bristol City with just a textbook Nigel Pearson low block, and to get that result was huge on a fucking emotional day for everyone. Yeah, just it could have been one of those games that we talk about, a trap game. Absolutely could have been, and the boys come out, they get the result, Jim. That was so good to see.
Well, you say so good to see, but some of us didn't get to see it for the first 15 minutes
Okay,
or so,
yeah.
did we?
25.
But I think, we can talk about the Fox's Hub, streaming debacle for most of the fans listening in the US will know what we mean, as we scrambled around, frantically pressing refresh, trying to get something to work. If it worked, then you tried to do something, it stopped and it kicked you out, and it was a nightmare. I think it was Nigel's white trainers, blocking the satellite or some satellite feed or something. Not sure.
I think his crutches were intercepting.
Yeah, or his crutches were
The alloy in the crutches.
exactly. They were linked to his tin hat. No. So anyway, yeah, I think it was a really good game. To watch. With as I said, joking aside, like, Wilf sort of was playing amazingly well in midfield. I think it was one of the games where I think that this week he put together some really good performances, but I think this was the best performance I've seen from Wilf all around. I think he was sublime with some of the touches that he had. He was a driving force, and he obviously won the penalty that with some mad skill moves, and then I think it was then beaten by Vardy's finish, top bins, right? That was probably the best penalty I've seen him take ever. And the only thing that was better than the finish was the celebration with some, as Matt Piper and, on Radio Leicester called it, top rustling. I don't think I think we can be less PG and I think call it shithousery, right? But when will away fans learn not to sing Jamie Vardy, your wife is a grass?
Dude, they're not going to learn.
Especially before he is, about to take a penalty, because you could hear them singing it right before he took it. And that celebration was just amazing. And
let's talk.
He went, right?
Perfect, dude. Well, let's talk about that penalty real quick, because between the four of us, we've seen literally every penalty the man has ever taken, and it was very different. I think we all were expecting the fucking cannon down the middle. I think Chris was even saying it at the bar, like, here it comes down the middle as hard as he can, and we were expecting that. Instead, it was a little in-step top corner beauty, Jason. Is this a more refined Jamie Vardy? And then obviously the celebration it's the same one.
It's the same one. He showed us after the goal that he's still the same guy. But it just shows like he if he steps up to that ball last year, I just don't know if we're feeling as confident, with the way that his season kind of went. And it showed that even though the goals haven't been coming like by the hatful for him, he's playing with a lot of confidence. And I think it speaks to him and the quality that he has and his professionalism. I think it says a lot about Maresca, how he's kind of getting the best out of the side. It was a perfectly placed. It was just, there's no way, no keeper in the world is stopping that penalty. It was gorgeous. It was a hell of a finish. But just before that, though, Wilfred Ndidi wins the penalty. And I have to say, like, one of my favorite things ever is when a player celebrates winning a penalty. And it's just like, it's usually like those players that aren't like the big time goal scorers, the more like role players in the squad, when they do that. And like Wilf celebrated winning the penalty. And I don't know. I just think that's like, it's sometimes somewhat unintentionally hilarious, but I think it's great because it just shows like, hey, like I'm playing for the team, and this is something that's like is huge for us. And I think back to that video of Dan Amarty when he was, before he came to us, I think, at Copenhagen, when he ran down the length of the pitch to make a tackle and then went all the way back down with a mask on his face, won a penalty and celebrated winning the penalty. And I'm like, that's the kind of attitude that I like to see in my players. And you can just see like everyone's feeling it. Everyone's on the same page. Ndidi wins a penalty, but he knows he's not taking it. It's going to the GOAT. And Vardy just like put that away just so perfectly. And like you guys said, there's no chance in hell he's missing that after what he heard coming from from the far corner from the away end.
And that's 2 penalties we've scored in a week. Like, when was the last time we didn't get a penalty and like you said, crap ourselves that, oh, this isn't even going to be a goal. Like last season, I think we kind of gave up. Like getting a penalty, there's no guarantee of scoring. So it's nice to see that we can actually put it in the back of the net again.
There was a bit of discussion at the Bluefoot here in San Diego when the penalty was awarded. First, it was like, who's going to take it? There was a bit of a question because, all last season, and to your point, Jim, now we don't have Matters taking it. So yeah, it does feel a little bit more confident than
I'm not too
his
bothered about
penalties
that.
last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on, guys. But yeah, I did want to circle back real quick, Jim. I don't know when people are going to figure out that if you sing to him, you get everything that you have coming to you.
I think that the goal against Southampton, like I was kind of thinking just while you guys were talking, 21 seconds to score the goal, 21 seconds to go. So solid crew. Whoop, whoop. Chris will know what I mean.
Shout out 2000.
I know you guys do as well. But
don't you know, pump it up.
Yeah,
Let's
exactly.
going up.
That is awesome, by the way.
But I think what we've seen in sort of the last couple of weeks is like Vardy clicking a bit more, getting into it, linking up play. You know, I was even thinking back to like start of the season. We're like, he shouldn't really be starting. He kind of played. He didn't really do much, did he? And we were like, Kelechi, this is it. This is the start for you. You got to get in. And I think credit to, as you said, Jason, credit to Maresca, but credit to Vardy. He's not like, I'm too big for this league. He's not mailing it in. He's in fact like embracing the style. And I think there's been bits where it's like he has drifted out wide and maybe not got involved as much. But I think I think like Bristol City was a lot more, he got involved. He was doing the Vardy stuff. You know, he put a reducer in on Matty James as well at one point too, which I'm sure they had a chat about afterwards. But and I think it was after he got called for something else, and it was like he was pissed off. You could see it. And so I'm loving seeing that as well. It was just like I think all the things that added up of him getting a goal, free open play, doing all these things, getting the needle, but playing well, and that led to the penalty and a Del Piero-esque finish. You know, you guys know I have a man crush on Del Piero, so I've got to mention him.
What
I did not know that, Jim. So.
One of the best.
Now the whole world knows it.
They do.
I think one of the best things about Vardy this year as well is we last year on the podcast constantly bemoaned the lack of support that he had at the top of the pitch and the need for people to be around him to be at his best. And Enzo's seen that. And yes, he's playing a little bit deeper, but I think one of the best things we've been doing as well is, and it's so great to see, is like we're piling forward. You see it for everything. We are committing men forward, and that's got to be a confidence builder to Vardy as well, knowing that he's got players in and around him who can support him. Going back to the celebration, did you guys? The first that I twigged that something was going on was actually at the kickoff, where Vardy just like bowed to the away fans. Did you guys catch that on the halfway?
No, I didn't.
He took a bow as well, and then it was only after the game that kind of you saw all of the shithousery. And I love the fact, my favorite bit was the fact that JJ just didn't even bother to celebrate. He ran up towards Vardy, saw Vardy was going off to the away fans, and just gave up and was like,
it looked like Vardy was telling the guys like, stay back, I've got this. Like, get away from me. I'm going up there. Yeah.
Epic. Shout out.
There was some. I saw a Bristol City. You know, I couldn't help myself on the New York Fox's account. But there was a Bristol City fan who, like, responded like, "Oh, he's gonna pay for this when he comes to Ashton Gate." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, put a heads up there, buddy. I'm about to go put the whole farm on him to score away at Bristol City."
Yeah, that was amazing as well because I had zero context. So they just replied to a tweet from Bristol City saying, Vardy puts Leicester 1-0 up. It wasn't even anything like about the celebration or the shithousing. So it's like, if you just read it, like, oh, you're going to give him crap because he scored a goal and did his job? What?
Yeah, we said the man's name, though. I did want to give a shout out to JJ, who had to step up. Callum Doyle takes an unfortunate injury. Do we have any of you three fine gentlemen have any updates on that? I was not around the media today.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell where he got hurt. I mean, he looked like he was fine, through the half and coming off the pitch. There was some talk about there was one play where, he and another player kind of both tried to come through a ball and like kicked each other sort of. I don't know. I'd have to rewatch that. But, not good to see, a young player like that who's clearly, as important, an important member of our squad, even though he's on loan. You can see how Enzo keeps putting him out there, and just tough to see. Hopefully we get some decent news, but I think Enzo's presser will come out. It will be on Tuesday, right?
Tomorrow,
so
yeah,
not long after this comes out. So we'll have to see what he says. But
for sure. And
Right.
hey,
But,
shout out. Go
there's
ahead. Sorry.
Silver Lining. JJ comes in
Yeah.
and I thought looked very good.
Yeah, I mean, guys, shout out to the squad depth that we have. This is exactly what we were talking about. Like the amount of teams that would just salivate at a player like JJ to be their starter. Now we can rely on to come in. And lots of people have been crying out for him to get a chance in the side anyway. I think this is a good opportunity, Jim.
Oh, absolutely. And you think like Cody's not even got a sniff. And look at the quality he's got, and kind of saying like, when's he gonna come back in? Is he gonna get a game? And I wonder if we'll see him on. I wonder if we'll see him on Wednesday. But I also worry because I don't think it should be his first game back. Also, he was a Liverpool youth player, so he might be like overly amped of not being playing for a while. But I think he's got a pretty wise head on his shoulders. You know,
yeah.
I'm shocked every time I see that he's only 30. I keep thinking he's like 35 and he's been around forever, but he could play the way he does for another 5 years easily.
I think it's because every time you see him, he's got his arm around a younger guy and he's giving advice. Every fucking photo you see, the guy, he's doing the right thing. It's like it's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
It feels like he's been a club captain forever. Like Wolves and then Everton, but he didn't get as much game time at Everton. But he's always been one of those players that like made captain at early 20s and then kind of kept going. I guess.
But then again, when you do the trajectory of Wolves to Everton, it just feels like we had 5 years to your name just because you've gone to those two clubs. It just seemed like, you're an experienced. You've got to be an experienced guy to have jumped from Wolves to Everton. It's like this really weird cliche that we have as football fans that like we just stereotype these people that move around. So yeah, I'm kind of not surprised that he's only 30, but hey, good for us.
Well, let's also say how crazy. I mean, this is as good a time as any to give the proper shout out and to atone for our shit talk that we've done to a certain Danish center back on this team, you guys. Reason, I mean, early in the season, Vestergaard's only there until Connor gets healthy. Now Connor can't even get a shout because the Danish wall that is Yannick Vestergaard has turned his game up to a level that is the only thing you can say is I'm sorry because I was the first one with the nicknames and everything, but holy shit. For a player like this that knew how Leicester fans felt about him, to just screw his head on right and say, right, I'm going to do a job here. And not only that, but I'm just going to become the best version of myself. And holy shit, Jason, this has just been insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a drop off in the league or if it's, something happening with him personally or if it's Enzo. I don't. Rodgers, from the outside looking in, didn't always seem to do so great with his defenders. I mean, you can see how his relationship with Soyuncu was, and I think Vestergaard seemed to have come in and was faced with something very different than what he was sold on when he joined the club, and but credit to him for just like sticking through, and he does seem like he's a liked player around the squad. His teammates seem to like him a lot, and yeah, I mean, I don't think he didn't do anything wrong. Like the last few games, he's like, if you look at the games as a whole, he might have been our best player like since the international break. He is clearing out everything. I mean, anything that goes near him is gone, is out of the box. And then the way, his confidence on the ball, you can see why Enzo insisted on playing him through the preseason, getting him up to speed. Like he hadn't played a lot of competitive football. So definitely it's going to take him some time to get back up to speed. But he's made up for it. And speaking of speed, he's kind of made up for a bit of his lack of pace with his positioning. I mean, he seems to just be in the right place every time. And I'm thrilled with how he's playing, and it's incredible. Like you rarely see a player kind of turn things around this quickly with the fans. The closest thing I can think of recently maybe is Iheanacho. There were a lot of people that wanted him gone and to never play for the club again when he missed that chance against Man City. And but then he worked hard. He scored so many big goals and kind of became, a cult hero, and people got to see a bit of his personality, and he scored so many big goals. It was such a key part of us winning the FA Cup. But he still has his detractors. Everyone is singing Vestergaard's praises right now. Everyone. There isn't a person out there that would say a bad word about him right now because he's playing that well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's undeniable. And shout out to Ollie, who was telling us at the beginning of this year, even when we were like, wait, did he just say Vestergaard was his man of the match? Ollie, our correspondent, he's watching in those away ends. He's seeing the work Yannick was putting in on that back line better than we can see on TV by a mile. And he told us way back, he was like, guys, he's a hell of a player this year. And it's been incredible to watch.
Yeah, just imagine if he won a header, how great he would be.
Well,
but he has been. He won a huge header against Bristol City. We can, just kind of claim, like, we've scored goals off of his clearances.
He should be dominating on that. I'm like, I can't wait for him to score a corner. But Jason, you're spot on. Like, people seem to like, the players seem to like him. He seems to be doing a lot of that, organizing. I think it's sort of Doyle and Vestergaard are the two kind of lock-ins, aren't they, right now? I know Doyle kind of had a bit of a wobble, and then I think Fast is still a bit tentative on some of the stuff. There was one where actually their chance from Bristol City game was, and I think it led to the free kick when I think it was a super soft free kick that Vestergaard gave away. Was the ball bounced and they kind of looked, I think Vestergaard was expecting Fast to just come and clear it and come right through and just go for it and just put it out, and he didn't. He backed away, and then Vestergaard had to kind of clean up, and then that was that was right at the end, wasn't it? 88th minute or something, and then luckily it was actually right at the end because it was Hermanson caught it, held it, and it was pretty much end of the game. So that's good to see. And now I think we've got, like, the big thing you mentioned earlier, Matt, was Vardy's getting people around him. So we've got attacking threat on the front three. So, we've got on the right, we're kind of rotating it. Casey's coming in, doing a great job when he turns up. Fatawu, exciting again for, when he started on Saturday. You've got like other people, coming through. So I think like that's good. And then obviously on the left, you've got like Mavadidi's like the shoe-in, right? I don't think has he not been dropped for a game at all? Like maybe at the start, but when he wasn't fit. But when we signed him, he gets stronger. Like the thing I love about him is he puts in the whole 90 minutes and shift. And you think about the goal that was scored against Southampton was because he basically robbed the ball and then ran the length of the field and scored. You've got, he won the penalty against Norwich because he's driving and putting in stuff, Yeah, could he have probably set up about 3 goals against Southampton? Yeah, but he got his goal in the end. And, not sure I'll call him a ball hog, but he's a bit of a, give me the ball. Yeah, give me the rock, LeBron James style. LeBron James doing that old, Leicester LeBron. I can imagine him doing the too easy.
Less the LeBron. That might be a nickname that sticks. Another thing, guys, stacking up some shutouts now. That's 3 shutouts on the year for young Mads as well. So the defense clicking and confidence in goalkeeping as well. I think just all positives going forward for our Foxes. And yeah, I think it's one of these situations where momentum in this league is everything, and we've just got to keep it going. That being said, Wednesday presents a unique challenge for us, as of course we drew Liverpool in the FL Cup, 3rd round at Anfield. I guess we'll start with you, Jason. Your thoughts on this heading in? Obviously a tough matchup for us. If you were Enzo, how do you approach this?
I think you kind of put out a strong lineup and kind of keep rotating the way that you have. And I don't think that you approach this kind of any differently than you have in the league. It's a free hit. I know there's another tough game happening on Sunday, but we do get the kind of extra day off there. I say go for it. Like, what do you have to lose? Like, give these players a chance. Give them a chance to play against that a much faster, better opposition, and it might make Sunday's game against Blackburn, feel a little bit slower to the players, and kind of give us that reminder of like, hey, like this is the pace of that the game is going to need to be played at if we do get promoted. So we can't forget about that, and it might help us on Sunday. So I say go for it. I know there are so many games going on this year, 46 league games plus the cup. But, so I get that you'll need to manage the workload there. But, who knows who will draw in the FA Cup? We have no idea if we'll be able to go on any run there. So we might as well see what we can get. And an early round League Cup game, for a side like Liverpool, they may go out and play the kids for the first half. So might as well see what we can get out of it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see some of our younger guys against that level of competition, to your point, and to see players can, that's such a good shout, Jason. Is kind of a preview of how we look or how we could look next year. I mean, knock on wood, everything keeps going like it's going, but yeah, a player like Harry Winks, what he'll be able to do against a Premier League side like that. Chris, your thoughts heading into Liverpool?
I agree with Jason. I think we treat it as a normal game, and I think naturally Enzo's going to rotate the squad. So I think we won't see the same 11, but I think we'll see an 11 that is competitive out there. And I think I echo Jason's point again, like it's a barometer test. I also think it's probably a chance for us as Leicester fans to be pegged a little bit back to kind of normality. I know we're all on cloud nine at this moment in time, and we're preaching about how great it is. And yes, don't get me wrong, it is. But hey, like we might take a tanking on tomorrow, and it might just let's level the setters a little bit. But no, I don't think we'll see kind of a lot of things that we've not seen yet, simply because I think Enzo's done an incredible job rotating the squad around. And we have a core now of 16, 17, 18 players that I think as fans we're comfortable seeing in that starting lineup. So the only player you might see, I mean, Winks and Ricardo haven't really had much of a rest, I don't think, so far this season. So maybe you'll see something there, but I expect a strong lineup, Matt.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see how he wants to work that out. He almost think about a player like Connor Cody too, looking for a chance to get in, but it's also like, do you drop him in right against fucking Liverpool? So there's definitely some questions that Enzo's going to have to figure out, Jimmy.
Yeah, I just want no injuries on Wednesday night.
Same.
Like I think, as Chris said, I think Winks is the sort of player who could play 60 games a season because he is so intelligent with what he does. He doesn't like. I'd be interested to see how many miles he's run per game, but it doesn't seem like he moves much. But everything he does is so very efficient, and he lets the ball do the talking. Obviously, probably Doyle is not going to play. I was just looking at the lineup that when we played Tranmere, if that's any indication of the last game, and Stoličić in goal, I think he'll probably get another start. It seems like he's the cup goalie in it, and that Enzo wants to sort of give enough rotation. Whether he's going down the Arteta route of the goalkeeper is also part of my squad now, and the whole like I could sub a goalie mid-game just like I sub any other player. I'm not sure Enzo goes that far. I think JJ will probably start. I think the pace that he has, I'm wondering if he'll come in because interestingly, he played on the left And we didn't see sort of Ricardo swap to the left back against Bristol. So I wonder if JJ up against Salah, if he does start, or just in kind of anticipation of Salah starting. Obviously, if Liverpool start their proper team, they've got 2 wingers. Luis Diaz is also freaking terrifying. He always does the damage against us more than Salah, I think, recently.
Yeah, he does.
So that'd be interesting back line. I wonder if Hamza will get a game in midfield just to kind of be a bit more solidity and maybe go and chop down some players. Maybe Marky Mark will get a game as well. It'd be nice to see Kevin come and get a game. He's been very patiently on the bench every week. I think the biggest one is going to be Cassidy, and is he going to come on? And I don't think after his amazing start of that goal, I don't think he's done much more. He seems still not quite up to the speed of games in the same way that some of the others are. And so that'll be interesting to see if he starts. And then it'll be will KDH get a rest or not? Will Mavadidi get a rest? I think now we've got the luxury of wingers, so we might see, Akgun come in or someone like that as well.
Go ahead, Jason.
And, speaking of pace and the wingers that we have, I've been really impressed with Fatawu. I think he's looked great.
Yeah.
He's young. I'm sure he'll be fine to go again midweek. I'd love to see him out there again. I want to see him all the time based off these first few games. He's constantly creating something. You don't know quite, the defenders don't quite know what he's going to do. He brings a sort of chaos to the game in a good way, and can be very direct, has a cannon of a shot that he could unleash at any time. It's probably our best crosser of the ball too. I mean, the kid can kind of do it all offensively. So get him out there. Let him see. Let him test himself against these big boys.
I think too, we've talked this year about how there's an extra difficulty for us as quote unquote the big dogs in the league, as everybody that we play is going to see it as an audition, right? That I want to show what I can do against the big guys. And it's kind of nice that now our boys will be having that on Wednesday, because I can see a Fatawu guy, I think one of the most exciting left fucking feet that we've had on this team in a long time. I'm with you, man. I'm super stoked to see what he can do.
And everyone's been talking about Enzo plan. Not everyone, some people, some detractors have been bemoaning a lack of a plan B. Well, we seem to like to have the ball, so let's see what we do against the Liverpool side. It's probably going to have a lot more of the ball. I mean, we were pretty comfortable doing that. I mean, listen, Southampton and Liverpool, very different levels right now, but we let Southampton have a bit more of the ball when we played them, and picked our spots there. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And if anyone was insane enough to get up and watch that stream of our friendly against them in Thailand, Singapore, where I don't remember where it was, we looked really good for the first 20, 30 minutes of that game, playing out of the back. I mean, I do think it was a little bit of a kind of Liverpool just kind of feeling this out and figuring out what they can do to break us down. But it'll be interesting to see. They played a pretty solid lineup, so it'd be interesting to see kind of now that we've had a little bit of time together, they've had a little bit of time together. Let's see how we match up against them now.
That's a great shout. Yeah, I think we'll learn as much about our team, or I think we'll learn as much about our manager as we will our team on Wednesday, guys, because seeing how he sets up, and if he's this is how we're gonna fucking play and that is it, or if there is a little bend to his philosophy. So I'm looking forward to that. 2 things I have written down here that during the discussion I wanted to give shout outs to. First of all, Harry Winks versus Southampton, you guys, a stat that just blew my fucking mind. 83 of 83 on his passes, 100% passing, 83 of 83. Chris, when you say numbers, what?
Enzo Ball. That's it, isn't it? That's what he wants. That's his job. Is just to be the conductor. Is to lay a pass, find another player, lay another pass, find a bit of space, and move forward. And I'll just say, one thing I wanted to get on my. I know we've not got much time left, but great. I thought Enzo was great this week in his press conference, talking directly to the fans. And in particular, I thought it was great that he was like asking them at the KP at the weekend to be louder and to understand what he's trying to do. And that quote about Mads can have the ball for 30 seconds and I don't care was absolutely wonderful. I thought that was great and a great kind of description of what we are as a team. And I think that goes again with what you just said in the fact that Winks didn't lay a pass off and he laid it off 83 out of 83 times, which, yeah, great stat. I can't imagine as many Leicester players in the history of the club that have gone, yes, they made like 5 for 5, but if you go and say above 50 passes, not that many that have gone literally 100% completion rate.
That's incredible. And I think too, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was just going to say when we were at the bar, I was talking to Chris and I literally was just like, man, this is, I've got my head now wrapped around Enzo football to the point where the first half, if we don't score, it's cool because we're literally a cat playing with a mouse at that point. If you can see it, we're literally just wearing them down. Ndidi's penalty, like a lot of people were saying, it had to be the only way it could beat Bristol was by a penalty. Those penalties are what happens when you have fucking 85% possession, you guys, and that's just going to be a part of the offense going forward. And man, is it cool to see this stuff starting to work, guys. Like it really is. It's all
I will say though, Matt, we need to tighten up that first 15 minutes after half time. I mean, I think especially the Norwich game and somewhat of the Bristol City game, like we struggled for the first 10. I don't know what we're doing at half time, but we come out the blocks a little, whether we're coming out a little bit slower or the opposition's coming out a little bit more aggressive, I'm not sure, but there's definitely that first 10, 15 minutes is kind of squeaky bum time a little bit, and I think that's something we need to work on.
Well, it also too, Chris, it might be that, that first 15 minutes is when whatever the opposing manager just said is right in their heads, and then it takes just a little bit of time for them to remember that, Leicester's just a different class over us thus far.
Yeah. I think what you guys are saying, and I think, talking about Winks and how it leads into all of this, I think says a lot kind of about us and our identity, that we actually have one. And Winks was such a perfect signing. Like all of these signings make sense. We know where they're fitting in. We have if the fans now, like the four of us, have a clear idea of kind of what Enzo Ball is, what he's trying to get out of this side, and we can see it and enjoy it, that means the players are definitely can see it too. And you can see that everyone is on the same page. The players have all bought it and they really respect Enzo. But every player from the front to the back, they're on board with what he's doing. And it's really just awesome to see. We haven't had that kind of unity throughout the club and it's building in the fan base. We haven't had that in a while. And like our periods of our best success, we always had an identity. When Martin O'Neill set up his side, you knew how Martin O'Neill was going to set the side. You knew what he was going to do with those wing backs. You knew how he was going to have those guys whipping the crosses and how he had those big, tough defenders and what they were going to do at the back. And then if he needed to, he'd throw one up front. When we played well under Pearson, it was great to see him back. We had an identity under him. I mean, we did play some nice looking football going through, but you had 11 guys who were just like all 11 guys on the pitch were just always looked like they were going to run through a wall for him. You saw that in Bristol City. I mean, those players were very committed to him, and you could see how he's changed the culture there. Ranieri, look, he set up almost the same way every game. You knew what you were getting out of us. You could call the starting 11 there, but everybody was on the same page and played really well. Early on in Rodgers' time, kind of it's tough for us to kind of define it, but there was a bit of unity there, but we've lost it now for a few seasons. There was no Leicester way, and now we finally have Enzo ball, right? And we have an identity that's like here in the squad. We know how this side's going to play, and when it's done well, it's effective and it's enjoyable to watch. And I think we can all see that it's going to get better. Enzo had a great quote after the game, like saying, or maybe it was before this weekend's game, just reminding everyone how early it is. That he said, "Oh, I had to ask two people for how to get from the change room to lunch because still I haven't really been here that long." It's just like keep that in mind. But one thing I will say about this, guys, everything that he's told us, every time he's spoken directly to the fans, whenever he's had the opportunity, everything he said has happened. He's described the squad and the way they want to play, even though he's kind of kept his cards to his chest. He's described it well. The frustrations in the game, he's called out. He's told the fans to give it time. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. He's been very clear with everyone, and everything that he's saying is happening. So I don't know. It's just I think that listen, wins are always fun and great, but I think that has something to do with everyone's enjoyment and how we're all starting to kind of fall back in love with Leicester City football because we kind of can identify and what we're trying to do and what this manager is trying to do with this side.
And man, is there better proof that he has his locker room firing on all cylinders as well when he's naming guys like Hamza Chowdhury as a captain? Yeah. What a brilliant, just awesome little slight thing that you can do to just build that confidence in not only Hamza but also the rest of the locker room. Here's a guy that has put in the work for this club, for this city, for this badge for this long, and now he's being rewarded with it by wearing the arm badge in a massive away match against fucking Norwich. Like it's everything is we're Leicester fans, so I really get nervous when I start feeling too good. But I tell you what, boys, right now I'm just feeling great, and I think we'll learn a lot Wednesday about this club. I think, going forward. So after that, we've obviously we'll just touch real quick on so Liverpool, and then we've got a tough one, a revenge match. If you remember last season, I don't know if you forget it, but a revenge match coming up against Blackburn on Sunday. So early one, 4 a.m. on the West Coast. So we will not be at the Bluefoot they will not open that early. So this one will be watched from.
You'll be up anyway because you'll be watching the Ryder Cup.
That too. Yep, we'll be up. We're
going to become nocturnal this weekend.
Nocturnal and.
For the listeners here, it's a big weekend for this foursome of the pod, the Ryder Cup, and we're evenly split 2-2 USA Europe, which I guess Jim means 2-2 a draw means that we retain the cup, right? So
which no one wants
for the USA.
No one wants to see that.
No one wants to draw. No one. The only thing we can agree on is the fact that nobody wants to draw in the Ryder Cup.
This is not cricket.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So yeah, guys, we'll just wrap it up there. I think that's a perfect spot to stop. I know that we had great turnouts this week in San Diego. Like we said, New York was representing. I know the Rochester Foxes were doing their thing up north. So yeah, guys, please keep sending us in the group photos. Philly Foxes, shout out to you guys. Because we love to see it and just keep it building. I don't know how many people are going to be able to get together Wednesday. I know San Diego Foxes are not going to be doing anything because of work and all that. But if you can get together, send us some photos.
We'll be doing something. I may not be there, but the game will be on at Football Factory. So if you are in New York City, you can get down, and I know you'll find a few of us there to watch with.
Yeah,
awesome. Well, also, I don't think we've gone 49 minutes on this pod without pointing out that we're top of the league as well. So I think maybe that's just a little
like Enzo. We don't really look at the league. We're only We're still too early into it, right?
Exactly.
So
Perfect. Well, thank y'all for
Games
joining
that
us.
doesn't
Anything final, guys, before I give out the close that I've forgotten or looked over? I'm sure it will when we're condensing 3 matches into one here.
I would just, just because I kind of left a cliffhanger at the beginning of the pod for anyone who's made it through, just so you know, Kayali won Restaurant of the Year at the Leicester Curry Awards. So, well done to them. I am putting them on my list along with Herb, or Herb, as you guys would say, Restaurant. Big upset for me because Chevalier is always my pick for vegetarian curry and Leicester. So I will have to see what this whole Herb business is all about next time I'm over. So I will come by and pay a visit.
100%. I think for every new one, there's always we stay the same. And shout out the Chutney Ivy that must have run Fine Dining Restaurant of the Year for the gazillionth time. I'm guessing. I mean, it's probably the most chalk pick. But no, shout out the Leicester. It took us enough time to find it. You couldn't find it like social media. But yeah, no.
And I'll just say, maybe next year will be included, but the Football Content Awards voting is going on right now for I guess top content creators, and for women's football, this fangirl is a finalist, and they're coming straight out of Leicester. I've always been really good friends of us New York Foxes, and we love everything that they do. So if you do get a chance to check out the I think the Football Content Awards voting. You don't have to vote for every category. Just make sure you don't skip by this fangirl for best in women's football.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Shout out to them. Good luck to them, and keep up the good work. Always love hearing about other podcasts because
they're not a pod, but they do lots of amazing stuff. Had meetups all over the world for the Women's World Cup. Have done started off with a really cool portrait and photo series of women going to different Premier League games around the country, cool. And it's kind of turned into this huge kind of football culture organization, and a spin-off of that is Vicky Park Queens, my favorite local club who play out of Leicester too.
That's awesome. Well, good shout. And on that note, also shout out to Leicester women that start this weekend after a crazy offseason of some big signings coming into the side. It's going to be an exciting year for our female Foxes. So we're looking forward to that as well. But on that note, guys, we're going to wrap up another edition of the US Foxes podcast. Thank you, as always, for joining and spending a few minutes with us talking about our favorite football club. And as always, if you could just give us a share or tell your friends who's also a Leicester fan about us, we would appreciate it because, yeah, this is just all grassroots kind of thing here. So please share the word and spread the love, and we will love you for it. But until next time, guys, for Jason, Jim, and Chris, I am Matt, and we'll see you next time on the US Foxes podcast. Cheers.